Welcome back to the Radio Entrepreneur Studios, built and sponsored by MTP Software, the CRM solution for the sports and entertainment industry. And my name is Jeffrey Davis. I'm host of Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm here with Chris Gerald, my producer. And we have a returning guest, someone I'm a big fan of, always wanting to learn more about entrepreneurship and speak about a great family of entrepreneurs. Jeff Roblin from Roblin Insurance. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
Now, I know we're going to talk about workers' comp today, a subject I think most of us don't think enough about. Tell us just a little bit of an introduction for our listeners about Roblin Insurance.
Okay, I'll go give you a quick overview. Coming up on 90 years, so we're almost at 80. We're in our 87th year, fourth generation business, and obviously that's a very proud achievement for us. We're based in Needham. We work throughout New England. We have clients nationwide, but the bulk of our clients are here in New England, and we're an insurance broker and risk management consultancy firm.
Risk management. Do you want to explain for those who don't understand what that means?
Yeah, and it ties into what we'll be talking about. You know, for a very long time, we were just insurance brokers, and that worked very well. Recently, the environment has changed, expectations have changed from business owners. So we've really evolved our model, and we've taken on much more of a consultant role with our clients, and that's really how we earn the most value, not as insurance brokers. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry, and we don't have a whole lot of control a lot of the time. We don't underwrite, we don't rate programs. We're brokers. The most value we can deliver is in being advisors to our clients and helping them make the most informed decisions, be proactive, and implement best practices. And so that's what we try to do.
Interesting. Any new trends in that whole area the last 2 years? I think, with first Obamacare and now not Obamacare and everything's, it seems like it's just a changing rule system every year now.
There's always trends, and they're always changing.
Right.
And it really, I can't speak to one thing specifically because it varies by industry, and we serve a lot of industries. Obviously the cyber liability is a big one, and that isn't just...
I hear about cyber a lot from attorneys.
Sure, I'm sure you do, and hopefully you don't hear about it when an incident has already taken place.
Right.
Although you probably do, but that's a whole new domain, and the insurance world and industry is reacting to it accordingly. But there's always new emerging things that we're on the lookout for, and that business owners really need to pay attention to, and that's our job.
Good. Now, workers' comp. Their policies are up every year. You got to review them all the time. Talk to us. What's going on?
Sure. The one thing I'll say about workers' compensation is we deal, just as I mentioned, with a lot of different types of insurance. Every business needs a lot of different lines of coverage, as it's called. Workers' compensation is the line of coverage that business owners and business managers have the most control over when it comes to cost. If you think about a liability program and all the lines of coverage that encompass that, things are going to happen. You can be doing everything right, and you can just have some bad luck and have claim experience, and it's very hard to prevent that. But with workers' compensation and in working with a good partner, there's a lot that you can do, really a lot that you can do to minimize claims, to reduce a lot of those indirect costs that come with that, to have a safer work environment for your employees, and of course to see the impact on cost savings and premium.
I hope it's okay. Can we drill a little bit into those categories and give us some examples?
Yeah, I was hoping to do that. I'll give you. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a few things that we're working on with our clients.
Don't give Chris any good ideas over here because he's thinking of getting hurt as we're talking.
Yeah, and you know what? Chris isn't alone in that category.
It's like the TV show. What is it? Shameless.
Yeah, Jeff, I hear a lot. I hear a lot about business owners, and they come to me and I sit down in a meeting and they say, "Oh, this guy's been out 6 months and he's full of you know what." And again, that to an extent is hard to control also.
Right.
But here's a few things that we're doing, and just to plant some ideas in your head and in our listeners. One is, the theme is really just being prepared, and again, thinking ahead, being proactive, not waiting for things to happen, but rather being set up so that when they do happen, you're prepared as a business owner and as a business manager to react. And all of this has a lot of benefits, but cost is always going to be a priority, and all of this does relate to premium cost savings in the long run. So one of the things that we encourage just as a starting point is the use of occupational health clinics. Occupational health clinics are medical providers who work not only with the interests of the patient in mind, but also of the employer. So when an employee gets injured on the job, you want to have a relationship. And again, this is something we work with our clients to help identify clinics within the vicinity of an employer. You want to have this relationship set up with these doctors' offices so that when Chris goes down on the job, you can send him to a doctor who you can trust and who has your interests in mind. So they do a few things. First of all, they'll report back to you in terms of status.
That's good. A better doctor.
It's not necessarily. I don't want to say a better doctor. I don't want to get myself in hot water here. What I'll say is that
doctor from the employer's perspective.
From the employer's standpoint, exactly. So they're gonna be in touch with you.
We see this. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. We see this a lot in sports. Somebody gets hurt, they go to their doctor. The team wants them to see the team doctor.
Yeah, sure we do. Sure, absolutely, and they have a lot of money to do that.
At stake.
At stake and to spend on those sorts of partnerships when they have their own doctors, of course. Right. But assuming you don't have the money to have your own doctor on staff, these are really great resources. And again, they'll report back to you. They'll tell you about your employee's condition, their expected recovery time. And the other thing that they'll do is obviously a big, I guess to use the word negative trend in medicine right now is the use of opioids to treat pain. These occupational health clinics will be a little bit more reluctant to prescribe opioids to mask symptoms, if you will, and be more focused on recovery than pain management. I know that sounds bad, but it's good from an employer standpoint.
Well, it's a better long-term fix.
Exactly. And a lot of these long workers' compensation claims, obviously the longer somebody's out of work, the more that costs a business. A lot of that is geared just from opioid prescription and from conditions not necessarily going away, but being masked by pain relievers. Right. So that's why it's great to work with your broker partner and having these relationships set up.
Well, I think that, trying to be considerate, this is not about an employee staying home, which I don't think is in an employee's best interest. This is really about looking at the best interest, not just of the business, but of the person too. Because if they're on pain meds, that's not a long-term solution for them in life.
Of course, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
So really, what's the best long-term solution and getting the most objective medical advice in terms of looking at that?
That's right.
That's what I'm hearing from you.
That's right, yeah. So that's one thing we work with. Now, along those same lines, and you just hit on a really important thing. When an employee is out of work on workers' compensation, again, the most important thing from a business standpoint and from the employee's mental health standpoint is to get them back working as soon as possible. So to that end, another thing that we encourage is kind of the claims management process. So that is when somebody's out of work, how is the company managing that process? And what we encourage really is to be in touch with these employees. When an employee is out, not the business owner, the best solution is to have their direct supervisor, so whether it be a foreman or a manager of their department, checking in with them. And doing so genuinely, of course, not saying, hey, when are you going to be back, but really showing...
Like an unemployment insurance office checks in.
Yeah, showing concern. And studies show that when that happens, employees are more likely to return to work faster.
I'm not trying to create problems for you, but you're making me think. So I would think if you wanted to have regular check-ins, it should be part of the personnel manual under the sick leave policy, that there be regular check-ins. That would be a good thing to sign off on a personnel manual. So let's say an employee gets sick. Let's use Chris as an example. And he turns his cell phone off for 3 days. Because he's not feeling well. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be better to have in the personnel manual, you have so many sick days, let's say 10 sick days a year, but if you're missing work, it's good to check in.
Yes and no. I would say yes. I say you're on the right track. But the problem with that, again, is it's a little bit too forced. It's a little bit too implied and structured. You don't want it to come across as, hey, when are you going to get better? We need you back here so we can close our claim.
But when you don't hear anything, you start to wonder.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
The mind can be a dangerous thing. And when you don't hear from an employee who's sick and you don't hear until 2-3 days later, I'm sick, I was out, or I broke my leg, you just want to know, you need to know up front I'm not coming to work, something's wrong. So I've seen a lot of incidences employees don't notify for 24, 48, 72 hours.
Yeah, Jeff, you're doing a great job of leading this discussion. That's another thing I was hoping to hit on, and I got a lot, so that's why I'll go quick.
I didn't make a mistake.
No. So crucial to this process is having a system in place, a sound system, and working with your broker partner, your insurance broker partner, to put this system together of having a claims reporting. So we just talked about claims management. This is claims reporting protocol, so that when an incident happens, right away, everyone knows what their role is. They can react, get the claim reported as quickly as possible. Again, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but there are studies that show that the faster a claim is reported, the faster that it will close.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. And so, again, just having the right forms, the right processes, the right structural hierarchy.
Think it through ahead of time.
Exactly.
With your consultant, like
ideally
you described up front. Well, because
Yeah.
I don't think all employers and human resource departments really are versed at doing this on their own, and they should get the assistance of someone that's versed in the current laws and regulations.
Yeah, and not just regulations, but just having having things set up in a way so that it can be dealt with as efficiently as possible when these things do arise.
It's a highly legal legislated world, and we have a lot of attorneys on this show, probably more than any other category. And the more I talk to professionals, the more I realize the best run business is doing the most preparation work up front.
That's right. I would say up front and ongoing. It's not
Right.
like what is it? The guy who had the grills there, set it and forget it.
Right.
I'm talking about the infomercials.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's about setting up the process and having the systems in place, but then making sure that they're being utilized right, and looking at things like claims trends and other important factors like that. Sure.
Well, I've been wanting to get you on the show again for a long time. You're clearly very knowledgeable in an important category for any well-run business. Jeff, if somebody wants to learn more about this category and the category of consulting and workers' comp, how would they contact you?
I'll give you my email address and my phone number. How's that? Is that the best way to go about it, I suppose?
Right.
Jeff@roblininsurance.com. That's also our website. And they can call our office, 781-455-0700. Or if you see our sign on 128 and you got some time on your hands, just come by and someone will be there to help you.
90 years says something. You can't stay in business in 90 years and not be doing something right. So congratulations to you and your family and to the success that you've had and continued success.